So welcome everybody. This is a new episode of Questions on My Mind, which I have millions of questions on my mind. And I've got the lovely Pamela Windle with me today because we're going to be talking about the Battle of the Bulge. And so all the women out there will be interested in this topic. I'm sure some men too, but please share with all the women in your life, siblings, spouses, whoever, share with them, because this is actually quite an important topic. And we may go into some others as well, depending on what Pamela's mission is, as we've just discussed off camera. So what we will do is dive straight into the conversation, because I always like to get straight to it. But throughout the conversation, we'll probably tease out some of Pamela's bio, and we'll definitely circle back round to that at the end. So in my 20s and 30s, Pamela, I used to pride myself on having a flat stomach, and I used to be told I had a Coca-Cola shape. And that seems to be fast disappearing. So that's what seems to happen for a lot of women once they start to get past sort of 35, going into early 40s, that kind of thing. And it's, as I understand it, hormonal related. Is that correct? What causes it?
Yeah. And obviously it's many things really that can start to happen in a woman's life by the time she gets to her mid-30s. Maybe she's got young children, she doesn't have as much time for herself. Maybe she's got aging parents, commitments at work maybe as well, are much greater at that time of a woman's life. So therefore, she might not have enough time to, i.e., go to the gym or really take care of herself. So there's that we have to kind of put into the mix. But then as she is approaching probably around her early 40s, really, that's where we can just start to see little shifts in hormones that can then present itself in terms of the weight gain, particularly around the middle section, so the waist and the belly. And that's very different to perhaps in the younger years, where maybe the weight was distributed, generally all over her body, or maybe in her 20s and mid-30s, that, she would just have to just avoid certain foods, go on some crazy diet for, 6 weeks, hit the gym hard.
Yeah, I've done all those things.
Yeah, and she'd lose the weight really easily. But now she's in her mid-40s and above, and that isn't happening. In fact, her waist is disappearing faster than she's ever experienced before. And that is most likely hormonally.
Okay, so yeah, I understand that, because what I used to do was, for instance, go to the gym sort of 3 times a week, then notice that wasn't shifting stuff. So then I'd add on maybe a couple of days of running, and then I'd add on some yoga. And then before you know it, I'm trying to do something every day of the week just to kind of stand still, if you get what I mean. And it did work, but it takes a lot of energy to be working out every day of the week. So
yeah,
it's tiring.
Yeah, who's got time for that?
Exactly.
That's crazy. And my background as a personal trainer, everything that I was taught as a personal trainer was that there was no difference between male and female in terms of how you moved your body, in terms of how you exercised, and then also how much calories you consumed. There was, there was a little bit around women should have between 12 and 1,500, men can have about 2,000 plus to lose weight. So that was it. That's the education in terms of weight loss I received as a personal trainer back in like 2000, I think it was. And as we know, the woman's menstrual cycle means that her body shape changes, the weight fluctuates depending where she is in the menstrual cycle. Now, all the research around calories, how much we should eat, how we should move is all based on the male body. It's never ever been done on the female body.
Oh.
Because, yeah, you look really shocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our bodies are too difficult, apparently, for research to be done on our bodies because of the hormones fluctuating throughout our lives until we get to menopause. And so as you were talking about how you then layered on more exercise, running, yoga, yes, good thing, spending hours and hours in the gym, and then it's just not working. Actually, what we need to do, and what we now know about women's health, particularly as they enter their sort of late 30s, entering into the early 40s, and then beyond that, actually, what we do need to do is less. That saying that people say, less is more.
Mm.
Less is really more. But it doesn't mean that less movement in terms of the intensity or the kind of workouts that you're doing, but just in a smart way, moving your body, and it actually works without you then depleting yourself of other hormones that need to support you when you get to be a postmenopausal woman.
Okay, so what's the main thing that's causing us to lay down that fat around the middle?
So there isn't one thing, because if it was one thing, many women would just lose weight automatically. There's a number of things. So in your, early 40s, for some women, obviously we're all different,
Yeah,
but we're approaching the perimenopause, aren't we, at that age?
yeah,
The build up towards menopause. And the changes in the hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, those changes, particularly in the estrogen, means that other hormones kind of arise, we have more of it. And I like to call them the ugly sisters. So that's cortisol, which is our stress hormone,
yeah,
and insulin as well. Those two hormones, because estrogen is starting to be unpredictable, and it's as the closer we get to menopause, we have less and less and less of it, of the type that we produce from the ovaries. That in itself means that the two ugly sisters, the cortisol and the insulin, can play. They can play havoc with your body. And those hormones fix fat around that middle section. So our ability to manage everyday life stressors become a bit more challenging.
yeah,
And that means that we are more stressed anyway from life stresses. And, we're at this time in our lives when we've got aging parents, and the demand is maybe, teenagers, you might have teenagers and aging parents at the same time. Maybe you're at the top of your profession as
yeah,
well. And
yeah,
all of those things can really impact women's health. And so therefore, she's already got this elevated level of cortisol and insulin running through her bloodstreams, much more than she did years ago before she reached the perimenopause. So that is one thing. The other thing that happens is that because of the changes in the hormones, the gut microbiome changes. Now you've got
Yeah.
microbiome, million, trillions of bugs in your gut, and the changes in the hormones affect that, and the gut microbiome becomes a little bit toxic,
Mhm.
and that then has an impact on the whole of the body systems. You know, type 2 diabetes becomes a risk, heart disease becomes a risk, and causes inflammation. So you have the changes in the hormones.
That explains a lot.
So
Okay, yeah, the inflammation explains a
yeah,
lot because you
so
start to get more injuries and stuff when you're working out. But yeah, carry on, don't let me. Yeah.
it's okay. No, you carry on. You carry on.
No, I was just thinking, is that's where all the joint pain and stuff starts to come from, and you find like you're running, but you just get injuries out of nowhere, kind of thing. Like I don't actually know what I've done to this ankle, but this ankle's killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, so your gut
okay.
microbiome changes that causes inflammation systemically in the body, and then the estrogen in the body is decreasing, causing more cortisol, more insulin, causing more inflammation. And then that belly fat actually produces another type of estrogen if the belly fat is too much. And that in itself causes more inflammation. So women become more inflamed as they age, and fat is inflammation. Excessive fat is inflammation. And then the other thing is like, if you're not sleeping through the night, whether it's to do with hot flushes or
Yeah,
sweats, or whether you're just not sleeping at all because you've never had slept, or just your body's changing because of the hormones, then that also causes inflammation in the body. And you can see it's like layer,
yes,
inflamed body that is stuck. And then she can't lose weight. So she thinks, I need to move more and eat less. So she stops eating food, eat less food, do this
yeah,
all the time. Her body's starving, her insulin levels are going wacky because she's not eating enough food, more cortisol, and
yeah,
then more weight. And then she's not sleeping because her insulin levels are really out of whack. She's on a roller coaster, more inflammation. Yeah, you can see, and then she's
yeah.
exercising more. And then the weight gain is just piling, piling, and piling, and piling.
Okay. I interviewed a lady called Jean Andrus a few months back on the menopause, and she was talking about it as the gift of the menopause and all of this sort of stuff. But when we talk about it from this angle and all these different issues that or layers of issues that you have, it feels actually like it's quite cruel because or like because that's quite a bit to have to tackle, and most women are already going into the perimenopause really stressed as it is because we have such mostly sort of like high powered jobs, like you were saying, the elderly parents, the children. So you're already going into it with this heightened stress response anyway. You've probably been in that stress response or in your, I'm going to call it masculine kind of energy for many, many years. And now on top of it, the cortisol's just gone rampant. And now you have all this inflammation. You probably have uh, medical conditions that are coming from that are impacting your quality of life. You're actually getting angry with yourself now because you used to be able to do A, B, C, D, E that you just don't feel physically able to do anymore. So you can start to feel like this weight is piling on because I'm not doing enough.
Exactly.
I'm angry with myself because I'm just constantly tired. And what I really need to be doing is, being more active to try and shift this. So is there a mindset piece to this?
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, and what's that?
I mean, many women weight gain and weight loss is currency.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? It's currency. There's a lot weights on on being slim. There's a lot of weight on that.
Yeah.
And for women, it can change and rock your world if you're gaining weight and you can't do anything about it. And and I think this is because of the slimming industry, the fitness industry telling us that this is how you lose weight. Eat less, move more. And what I do with my clients and the women in my program is that who are, struggling with weight is I say to them, what if we looked at weight gain or weight loss? Instead of looking at it as a character flaw, there's something wrong with you. You're lazy. You're too old. You're not moving enough. All of those things that make us feel really bad about ourselves. What if we saw it as a sign and a symptom of metabolic health? Because if we saw it as something else, it then takes away that I'm not good enough, or I'm lazy, or I need to starve myself, or I need to work out really hard, because that isn't weight loss. That is what we've been programmed to believe is how weight is and how we lose weight. And then it helps you to let go of that beating yourself up instead of nurturing yourself to become metabolically healthy.
Okay. But the changes that you mention are natural changes.
They
So,
are natural changes, yeah.
so is it something we need to suck up because that's just what happens? And are we fighting nature? Or by looking at it a different way, like, does it have to be that way?
No, 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 not at all. So let's go back to the gut microbiome.
Yeah,
So we know that the gut microbiome changes because of the hormone imbalances or the new change in the hormones as she approaches menopause. And that causes the bacteria to become very toxic and inflammatory. But then we have to go back and look at that woman's history.
mm,
How many times has she had antibiotics that destroy all your gut microbiome?
yeah,
And if you don't feed the gut microbiome when you have antibiotics, bad bacteria will grow in its place and
yeah,
cause inflammation in the body already. So let's just lay on that. Has she taken the contraceptive pill?
yeah.
Yeah. Minimum of 3 years. The research is now 3 years continuously taking the contraceptive pill will change your gut microbiome, cause it to be really toxic, causes inflammation in the body.
Okay.
Has she had significant stress ongoing?
Who hasn't?
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. That causes changes in the gut microbiome, makes it more inflammatory. What foods is she eating daily, weekly, monthly? Is it highly processed foods? Is it foods from the corner shop or Boots, ready-made
Real
sandwiches?
deals.
Yeah, take
Yeah.
out. What is she eating? That changes the gut microbiome, makes it more inflammatory. What chemicals is she exposed to on a daily basis in terms of cosmetics, deodorants, detergents, what you wash your clothes in, what are you inhaling that actually goes into your changes your gut microbiome? Are you exposed to, mold toxicity in your home without even realizing it?
Yeah.
All of that changes your gut microbiome. So then you've got menopause on top. That body is inflamed just based on all those things that have happened over a woman's life. So yes, the menopause is natural. And yes, the shift in weight is natural. But our lives today is different to our mothers, our grandmothers, and great-grandmothers' lives. Maybe they did gain weight, but maybe they didn't gain as much weight as women are today because all the toxicity that we are exposed to, all of the things. My mum never went on the contraceptive pill, didn't even
Yeah.
exist when she was a young woman.
Yeah.
And I don't think she would have taken it, and how many times are we having rounds and rounds of antibiotics? It wipes out your beneficial bacteria, the good guys and the bad guys. But what people don't realize is that as it's wiping out the bad guys, it's wiping out the good guys permanently unless you start to restore it. And while it's doing that, bad guys are growing in its place.
Okay. So I have a history of IBS and all sorts of gut issues long before I even got to all of this. We're also kind of in a society where you're not necessarily told this about, say, antibiotics or any other drugs that might cause inflammation. It's almost just like, just pop the pill and that will take care of that. And in my 20s and 30s, I was very much, I don't have time to be ill. So just give me the antibiotics, I'll take those, get rid of whatever this is, jobs are good. But I didn't know at that time that I was adding damage on top of an already not very good gut anyway. So it feels like a very big hill to climb because we're now thinking about all of these things that we did when we were younger and the cumulative effect of all of that.
Yeah.
It feels quite big to overcome. But that might be just me with my, what's the word? My not being positive enough about it. So can you give me some good news about these layers and what we can do to kind of remedy some of this?
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying, your perception it's low. But that's fine. Wherever it is today, anybody that's listening, where you are, how you feel today, it's okay. I remember when I was ill with chronic fatigue, and before I just started my training as a women's health coach, my perception was low. I felt depleted. I felt deflated. I had
Yeah.
no hope of getting better. But what I can say is when I got the right support and put the right things into my body, healed naturally and I got well. And now my perception is so high because I'm living proof that it can work. So one of the things that I do with my clients is there's so many things, but as we've talked about gut health, we've talked about that quite a lot, I guess, in our conversation. The first thing I start to do with my clients is, well, are you sleeping? Tell me about your sleep. Are you waking up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? Are you getting at least 6 hours of sleep? So that if you're not getting at least 6 hours sleep, you're not going to lose weight. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
need to work out why you're not sleeping.
yeah,
And ideally, what we do want to be asleep is 10:30 at the latest, 11 at the very, very latest. And we need to be asleep between 11 and 2 p.m. because that's when the brain starts detoxifying itself. And that is part of your immune health. So sleep, work out why you're not sleeping, and then support that. The other thing that I do alongside that is look at your blood sugar. I really like to use technology. So I use a blood sugar monitor, which is fantastic because, you know, social media is littered with people telling you what you should do for your health. And everybody, we're all individual, have our own makeup, genetics, lifestyle. There's so many differences about us that we don't even realize it. Hormonal challenges, immune challenges, all sorts of stuff. And so I like to use the blood sugar monitor because often women are eating less food or substituting sugar for fruit, having a lot of fruit for breakfast, porridge for breakfast, smoothies for breakfast, or not eating till 2, 3,
yeah, and perhaps doing intermittent fasting.
and doing it wrong.
Yeah,
And or they're exhausted in the morning when they wake up and they're eating, a lot of times during the day because they feel they're so tired that I need to have more food.
yeah,
Well, actually, all of that could be doing more damage, actually really causing their bodies to be in a blood sugar roller coaster. And often you don't notice that you are on a blood sugar roller coaster. You can't actually feel it in your body. But the signs of that is poor sleep, anxiety,
mm,
poor morning energy,
yeah,
weight gain, yeah, brain fog. They're all signs of a blood sugar is just unstable.
yeah. I can
So
vouch for the blood glucose monitor because I've tried one of those. Um, yeah, it actually showed that I was pre-diabetic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's powerful. And it can also, the one I use, which is called the Vary, also give you a prediction of your metabolic health. So if you were pre-diabetic, I imagine that your prediction of your metabolic health is pretty low. So we can use it basically see 5 years into the future, a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 years going backwards in terms of what we need to catch up to get to even 1 plus 1. So it's either -5 or plus 5. So I guess if you were pre-diabetic, you might have been at -1 or +1 at that point. So the blood sugar monitor is fantastic. It is such a
yeah.
game changer. I use it quite a lot with my clients. I also use a smartwatch as well, a Garmin watch, which is fantastic because I can look at sleep, which is really interesting. Looks at oxygen. And so I can see whether someone's mouth breathing,
Mm,
snoring, and many women start to snore in this perimenopause, menopause phase. And one of the reasons why is because estrogen, the drop in estrogen, particularly as they enter the menopause, the latter end of their transition, estrogen, the muscles can become slack, the ligaments become slack, and the tongue starts to fall backwards while they're
oh,
sleeping, and that then causes a snoring. So there's that. There's also obviously many women who have eczema, asthma, hay fever, psoriasis are on a continuum of an autoimmune, and therefore their sinuses may be affected and not realizing it and mouth breathing, because what happens is that progesterone, one of our main hormones, actually helps to manage histamine. And so for those women of eczema, asthma, hay fever, their histamine levels are become higher as they enter the menopause. So they might be more congested as well, which then is contributing to their histamine levels and sleep. And then they're eating lots of histamine foods like avocados and the high histamine, and also all the fermented foods that everybody's banging on about. You have to have your sauerkraut and you can be,
Yeah.
yes, if you are one of those women who have eczema, asthma, hay fever, psoriasis, endometriosis, you want to avoid those because that is poison for your body.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, there's more. There's more.
Okay, so let me just recap. So the main thing you first start to work with women on is their sleep. And I get that because that's when the body repairs. And a lot of women end up maybe sort of like waking up in the night because of they get really hot, or they have additional bathroom trips or whatever it is. And then that just wakes them completely out of their sleep. So I get the sleep thing. Then was it the gut
Oh,
and
blood
what they,
sugar.
oh, the blood sugar, yes, blood sugar. So GCM or CGM, continuous blood glucose monitor,
Mm.
just to see what's happening there. And then you adjust the diet. Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so obviously all the time I'm adjusting the diet, definitely, and I'm one for add in rather than taking things out. So let's add, let's add, let's add. We want to, while we're doing that, we're crowding out the bad bacteria and feeding the good bacteria with plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and then I'm just guessing this because this is what I've been working on. Presumably there's supplementation with that of some sort, or do you not really believe in that?
Yeah, there are some incredible medical grade supplements that are available. So if, for example, we add certain supplements to help balance blood sugar, there's some great ones there. Hydrochloric acid, so your stomach acid decreases as we age. I remember my parents, like years and years ago, like burping so loud, my dad and my mum. And I used to think, how do you make
Yeah.
that noise? How's that noise from your body? Um, but now I know, as an integrated women's health coach, actually that's a sign of poor stomach acid or weak stomach acid. Therefore, you're not going to be breaking down those proteins. And we need proteins to build muscle. Muscle is really important in terms of weight loss and longevity and your immune health. And so I support that hydrochloric acid, I support digestive enzymes. So as we age, we don't make enough digestive enzymes as well. So we add in terms of supplements, but we also add foods that are higher in enzymes like ginger, kiwi fruit, and pineapple. So we kind of add those foods in so that your body is starting to make them more naturally, as well as supplementing. Now, there was some, if it's a blood sugar issue, then yeah, there are certain supplements that I would add in, but I would always start to feed the good guys. Obviously, I'd taken a really in-depth history of a woman when she comes to see me, right back to her mother. What was your mother's health like when she
Yeah.
conceived you? Were you bottle fed? Were you vaginally birthed? Were you breastfed? All those things. What childhood illnesses did you have? All of that. That's really interesting for me to look at. So say it is a blood sugar issue, then we would support that through certain supplements as well. But if it isn't, then it might be a gut issue or it might be a sleep issue. So it really depends on who is sat in front of me in terms of what then happens next. I also use peptides as well. And they're kind of a new type of supplement that's on the market that is just fantastic. And recently I've been using with a client of mine who looked like she was an early part of perimenopause. She was only 41 and hadn't had a child yet. And her menstrual cycle for the last year has been sort of almost non-existent, sort of bleeding, very minor for 2 or 3 days, and it's been about 48 days. But we've been working together we're in our month number 4, and last month it was 21 days and she bled like properly. So, it's all looking like we're heading to getting back a cycle back in. So
Yeah.
the choice, she wants to have a child at this age. Hopefully this will work, and so yeah, so it works. It really does. So yes, so supplements are fantastic when you know what you're doing. And the supplement market is massive. It's a bit like the slimming market. There's so many terrible supplements out there on the high street. And I think also, a lot of people believe that you have to take a lot of supplements. And I'm very much in the mindset, food is medicine. So we need to definitely get your food on track first, sleep on track, blood sugar, add supplements in to help all of that as well. And if that doesn't work, then, I move into diagnostic testing. I really like the power of diagnostic tests because that also gives me information that I can't see with a naked eye as well.
Yeah. So where does so all these things, I take it, come before anything to do with exercise?
So, for example, if she is, well, it depends or not. This is so the word exercise is loaded as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not in a gym, if you're not doing that spin class, if you're not doing that body pump class, you're not doing the weights, you're not running, then you're not exercising. But actually, what about dancing at home for 10 minutes? What about going out for a walk for half an hour? And I move away from the word exercise because it is loaded. Many women in this phase of life don't have the energy, don't have the ability. Their bodies are so inflamed, they're in excruciating pain when they move their bodies. They don't have the capacity, like cardiovascularly. Many women don't. And that's that trip up, isn't it? Because I'm not moving how I used to move, or I'm not moving in a way that I think I know that's going to benefit me. So I like to use the word movement rather than exercise. When I had chronic fatigue and I was housebound for 5 years, and coming from somebody that was a personal trainer that was so strong, so fit, and half marathon, taught spin, had a 6-pack, to not being able to walk for 30 minutes. I used to set an alarm on my phone and I'd walk 10 minutes one way and I'd walk 10 minutes the way back to get home, so I didn't go into this energy deficit. And I didn't do that every day. I didn't do it every week, and I didn't do it every month. There were months and months and months and months. Months went by in those 5 years that I didn't actually go outside and walk because I couldn't. So, if I was going to be at that time thinking I'm not exercising, how would that make me feel emotionally? I'd feel like I was a failure and I couldn't do anything. But the times I did go out for a walk, that's all I could do. That's all my body can do. And so when I work with women, if she is exhausted, if she's not sleeping, we take out that hard exercise. Because how can you nourish a body that's already depleted?
Yeah. see the thing. Okay, so but when you do this, and it's sounding to me like the focus needs to come away from actually, and it's a good way in, but the focus needs to come away from I need to be slim to I need to be healthy.
Exactly.
And it's about the health, it's not about being size 10 or whatever. But it's really hard to buck the current of the conditioning that's already there. So,
Yeah.
talking kind of for myself in terms of my sort of getting back, I actually feel like in the recovery phase, I put more weight on. Is
Well,
that,
then,
does
well,
that happen?
there's something not right then if you're gaining more weight. There's an imbalance somewhere. There's an imbalance because weight gain, as we've said, is a sign of metabolic health.
Yeah.
So it's a sign of ill health.
Oh God, yeah.
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 So if you're gaining
But
weight,
but feeling better than I was feeling.
something's still off then, isn't there? But it's great that you're feeling. But honestly, I don't know your history and I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
can't say.
I'm thinking the pandemic years actually were a blessing and a curse because prior to the pandemic, as I say, I was out every night running or gym or yoga, whatever it was that I was doing. And then we all had to stop. I then found walking, which I love, kind of by accident, actually, but I think I had a running injury at the time. So I ended up just walking. And I actually love walking now. But because there were no gyms, there were no yoga studios, and I didn't really get on with the online sort of stuff. And then walking kind of felt easy because it's particularly the first lockdown, we were going into summer. So it was beautiful weather. There was the skies were clear. It was just lovely. So I could walk for an hour or two. And I actually lost weight going into that during that first lockdown. And then the winter came and then you stopped moving as much and it was dark and cold and whatever. So I think that's got something to do with it. But then psychologically, I've just not been able to go back to the gym. I've just not been, not for any reason. It's just like I can't, there's part of my brain that doesn't want to go back to just running around, having something to do every night. And my life is still busy, but it's busy in different ways. So is there almost like and I know that's a unique kind of circumstance, but could there be the impact of, it's like someone flicked a switch. That's what it feels like sometimes, like a switch was flicked and I can't get back to where I was. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. And I think COVID taught us a lot, didn't it? And what I hear is that pre-COVID, you were on this kind of pattern, this routine, and actually it was stressing your body out without you realizing it. COVID came and you started walking. You went from zone, in terms of exercise, maybe zone 3, zone 4 to zone 2, walking. And your body responded to that, calming that nervous system down, whereas the gym was stressing your nervous system, hence you were gaining the weight. So that is great. And so you've now built up a resistance emotionally to pounding your body in the way that you were, I mean, talking 4 or 5 years ago now. So you're
Yeah,
4 or 5 years older than you were then as well. And your body's saying, I don't want to be treated like that. And you're honoring your body by not doing it. And that's the thing about moving away from what society, what we've been tricked into believing that we need to do. You may need to go back to the gym, but in a different way. You may need to go because you need to build muscle, and you won't build muscle the same way walking.
Yeah.
But is running right for you? Probably not. Your adrenal glands didn't like it back. So where you produce cortisol, didn't like it in 2019. It actually preferred, and your hormones preferred you walking. So they're like signs. If you did go back to running, you're injuring yourself from running now. This is a sign, actually, it's not right for your body. And was it ever right for your body? Let's say. But it's clearly not right for your body now because your body is telling you this isn't right. You said, I really enjoy walking. Why not do something you really enjoy? Who says you have to go running and do a spin class?
Yeah.
And that's what I do with my clients, like it's instead of following the patterns that we've been brainwashed into doing, let's lean into you. You know yourself more than anybody do. And we're great at going, no, not listening to myself. No, I'm not listening. Oh, I've got an injury. No, I'm not listening, not paying attention to that. I'm gonna get back on the horse soon as. We're constantly doing that because we've been programmed to do that. Don't pay attention to your body. Let's get back to it when we're sick. Let's keep going to the gym when we're sick. We need to stop. And COVID allowed everybody to stop. But then once COVID gone, people are back doing the things that they did before. They've forgotten. Actually, I felt so good at this point in some ways.
So okay, so you need to tackle, I need to have a think about, and that's different, that's for me, but I need to have a think about what I need to do. And I think there is increased movement, but my brain goes straight to the exercise, not the movement. And there's also where do I fit this in my day now? I don't even know how I fitted that in before. Like sometimes now it's kind of like, how the hell did I do a 5-day week in the office? I don't remember. I don't know if I could do that now. So it's just weird, like that you go from one extreme to the other, and it's just trying to find your way back to that midpoint. But okay, most women are going to be focused on exercise and diet. Sorry, I've used that word exercise, but that is where they're going to be focused.
100%.
Yeah. And there will be an element of frustration because this isn't a 5-minute journey. This isn't, it's not even a couple of months journey necessarily.
It could be. It could be. In 12 weeks, you could start to shift that weight around. And I don't, even the word weight, I don't like using because I don't care how much you weigh. I'm not bothered. It's not important. It doesn't tell me anything because you can weigh more and have more muscle and be a smaller frame. And that's so hard for women to get the concept of because of things like slimming clubs. You can change your body shape in 12 weeks without dieting, without going to the gym, without even hardly moving. I know, it's odd, isn't it? But you can. Exercise is definitely the icing on the cake, the right type of exercise. But you can do all that without it. And if you don't have the energy in the morning, there will telltale signs that your adrenal glands are struggling.
Yeah.
And if you're not sleeping at night, your adrenal glands are going to suffer even more. And if you don't have good stress management tools to keep you calm in your busy life, and your perception is rock bottom, then it's going to affect everything. And the thing with the medical system is that, and the health and fitness industry, is that it tells you that you have to, you've got something wrong with your thyroid, you take thyroid medication. You've got something wrong with your diabetes, you take insulin. You've got something wrong with your heart, you take heart medication. You're overweight, there's something wrong with you, you're lazy, get in the gym, move, you're a failure. And none of that is true. The body system, your mood, your emotions, your spiritual self, the physical part of you, all of that is part of understanding why you're gaining weight, understanding how to lose weight. And I guess that's where I come in, you know, as a coach, as a woman's health coach, because I help women to do it really easily. And then before they know it, they're going, oh my gosh, and I've lost weight. And and that pain that I had in my foot is no longer there. And I didn't even realize it. Oh, and I'm sleeping. And not only that, I've also tidied my bedroom up for the first time. I have this beautiful chair in my bedroom that I bought so that I could wind down at the end of the night. And guess what I've been using it for? A clothes horse. But now I've cleared it.
Yeah.
And it's this beautiful chair and I'm using it. So, you know, the fitness industry has told us it's this how we lose weight. And, you know, at the beginning, you said to me, what do I want to be known for? What is my passion? And
Yeah.
disrupting the narrative around women's health is what I'm so passionate about, because women, their light bulbs come on and go, oh my gosh, yeah, and that is impacting me. What I'm thinking, what am I doing here? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's difficult now is that there could be lots of women listening who are kind of wanting really specific um, tips around what to eat, how to move, what's the most important thing? Is it the sleep or is it the food or is it the... And I appreciate that's a really difficult thing to do. We're not going to be able to do that because of the uniqueness of every woman. But are there just general areas or things that they need to focus on that every woman would need to be focusing on if she's going into this perimenopause phase and she's noticing she's putting weight on?
Yeah. And it is really difficult and it is really, really personalized. It is. However, you know, as we've talked about so much, haven't we? So
Yeah. Sorry, questions on my mind. I'm just like that. I'm deep.
no, it's good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. And it makes it probably sound as if it is really hard. And then where do I start? And I really believe that, as you say, every woman is unique. And I often take women through a journey, but I want to know before I say these are the things that you could do. But for anybody listening, I want you to take a moment and just stop and maybe close your eyes, because often when we close our eyes and we ask ourselves a question, the question comes, okay? It's just like if you're going to go out of the house and you say, do I need the bathroom? And you wait, don't you? And the answer will come yes or no. And then you act upon that. So it's the same thing. It's about trusting yourself. Yeah. So ask yourself, what am I doing now, currently? Everything that we've just talked about. What am I currently doing that I know that's within my power that I can change? That's going to help me to move towards better health and weight loss being a byproduct of that. Because you know why you're not sleeping, potentially. What are you doing at night before bed?
Yeah.
What are you having for before breakfast? What are you having for breakfast in the morning? What are you not doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's really interesting because I was saying I was going to call this the Battle of the Bulge. And I was so focused on the weight and fat side of it. And there's a lot of pressure on women anyway to, like we were saying, to be slim. And that doesn't start, that's from very early on in life. I've always, the battle with weight for me has been lifelong. So, but I want to change that now because it's like I was saying before, it's not about how do we change the focus of women away from that external, the way I look, to more the way I feel, and it being more about feeling energized, feeling like you're not feeling like you're in this fishbowl and everything's a fog around you.
Yeah.
And how do we change our attitude towards ourselves so that we're not beating ourselves up because we're not the same weight that we were, or because we don't have the energy to get up and go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, or those sorts of things and more. Because I think there are women listening who will still be in that mindset of, well, this is all well and good, but I just need to get rid of this fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're also bombarded with those images. There's fitness models on Insta or whatever it is. You've got the supermodels who the actors and actresses, and you look at them and, well, she must be perimenopausal, but she's still the same weight. She looks okay. They have dietitians and personal trainers and all that sort of thing. But we have these images and expectations that we're supposed to still look like that.
Yeah. And we want to look like that because it's
Yeah,
currency. It's
yeah,
currency, you know. And I remember when I first became sick with chronic fatigue, one of the things that I was fearful of was gaining weight because I knew I couldn't exercise. That was definitely a fear. I didn't want to gain weight. I looked at women that were older than me and they were overweight. They had a belly and I'd always had a six pack. So it was huge. Yeah.
yeah,
Now I'm slim. I have my waist. I have a little bit of a tummy, but I don't have a belly. It's healthy. So it can be done. But I want to say is it's about getting in touch with your desire. Why? What do you want? If you continue on this health path that you're on today, not sleeping, not having the energy in the morning, skipping meals, um, talking to yourself in a really negative way that you wouldn't even speak to your best friend like, eating processed foods, not prioritizing your self care, not setting healthy boundaries, not having non-negotiables. If you continue with all of that, what is your health going to be like in a year from today, 5 years from today, 10 years from today, 20
yeah.
years from today? So if you don't change it, what is it going to look like? But then imagine if you did change it, what would your health look like? And so as we're like imagining what it would look like, then we have to go, that's your desire. What do you want to be running around with your grandchildren? Do you want to be able to, take yourself to shopping, unload your shopping? Do you want to be riding a bike? Do you want to be having joy in your life? Or do you want to be on lots and lots of medication, not able to
Hell
move?
no. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a strong no. So we need to get in touch with the emotion. Why do you want this? What does it give you? Rather than I want to be slim. That isn't enough because that's about everybody else mainly. What people see me in society as. What is my currency in society? So what do you want? Do you want to be pain free? Do you want to have a good night's sleep? Do you want to sleep 6 hours solid? Do you want to have the brain function like a 30-year-old? Just because you are in this stage of life, it doesn't mean you have to have less. Luckily for us, the research has grown around women aging. And yes, can be a magical moment for women. Many women don't get here I've lost a friend who was 50, she'd have passed away. So many women don't get here, but we don't want to be here and not be able to function properly. What's the point?
You want to enjoy it, yeah, and you want to be able to
Yeah.
enjoy life, yeah,
I want to feel good. I
yeah,
want to be sexy, look sexy, all of those things, yeah, that
yeah,
makes you feel good, not for somebody else, but for yourself. So we need to get in touch with the why. And then let's see, why aren't you sleeping if you're not sleeping? What are you doing? And then, you've asked me a direct question, what can women do? What can women do? Yes, sleep through the night, 6 hours minimum, solid sleep, without waking up to go to the bathroom. You should be able to go 6 hours without needing a wee in the night. If
yeah,
you don't, then there's something wrong, either with your pelvic floor or blood sugar. Something isn't right, okay? If your blood sugar's off, what are you breaking your fast with? I.e., what are you eating first thing in the morning? Are you eating enough fiber from vegetables? Nuts and seeds, lots and lots of green leafy veggies, and colourful ones like red cabbage, what else? Like broccoli sprouts are really good as well. Swiss chard, lots of olive oils, nuts and seeds, and proteins. There's this thing around protein. Women need more protein as you're aging now than before. So whether you're on a plant-based diet or you eat meat, good protein in the morning, to stabilize your blood sugar levels first thing off the day. We say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It really is.
yeah, I've
So
heard that,
if
yeah,
you don't have energy, then you have to eat breakfast within an hour of waking. Intermittent fasting is not right for your body. If you're waking up in the morning, struggling with energy, or even struggling with energy in mid-afternoon, or struggling with energy throughout the day, then intermittent fasting is off for you. You need to stabilize your blood sugar, adrenals before you do anything like that. So breakfast, good quality fiber,
but
good quality protein.
with the food, because I think what happened with me is I was vegetarian for a long time as well. So then my food was more carb based than anything, because I used to have a lot of pasta and obviously we have a lot of rice and stuff like that. But then I just got depleted, totally depleted, even nutritionally. So all the vitamins and vitamin D, the iron, all of that completely depleted.
Mm,
So I am trying to force myself back to having a little bit of meat and a little bit of fish. But if you are vegetarian or vegan, where can you get the protein from?
yeah, it's harder. It's harder if you are on a plant-based diet. And this is where the individualized personal healthcare comes in.
Yeah,
Because if you're on a plant-based diet, things like tempeh, brewer's yeast, um, tofu, and obviously all your beans and lentils. But then if you are somebody that's got eczema, asthma, hay fever, psoriasis, and autoimmune, then those foods are actually going to be poison for your body.
okay. Didn't know that. Used to
Yeah,
eat loads of lentils, right?
yeah, yeah. And dairy as well. If you have eczema, hay fever, asthma, dairy is poison to your body as well.
Yeah,
And the other side of that, if you have if you've had a lot of antibiotics, or you've had a lot of, if you've taken contraceptive pill, as we talked about earlier, and you're eating a lot of these plant-based foods, a lot of lentils, a lot of beans, pulses, rice, then they can become toxic as well, as your gut microbiome isn't optimal, and they can cause a stressor internally and affect like your kidney function, you know, just because you're not able to detoxify, the byproduct that you get from these foods, which is called oxalates, and they can store in the body and then cause you to gain weight because it causes inflammation in the body. So, you know, really understanding yourself, looking at your medical history, you know, do you have those conditions? Do you have endometriosis? Because when you know that you have those things and you can avoid those foods that actually will impact your body and cause that cortisol to be even higher and lead into weight gain. And then are you pooping? Like, are you having a bowel movement every day? You know, so many women struggle with constipation. I don't really believe in IBS. I believe it's a symptom of something that isn't quite right, rather than saying I have IBS, or the doctor saying you have IBS, and that's it. You just have IBS for the rest of your life. No, we need to find out what the root cause is. Why is your body responding like this to certain foods? So having a bowel movement, so anybody listening, you know, the Bristol stool chart is a chart that we use. So we want to be either a 3 or 4 on that. Anything else, you know, we need to have a look and investigate why you're having constipation or the mixture of looser stools as well, because it really means that you're not absorbing your nutrients. And that could be, you know, anything from something called SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Again, problems with like yeast overgrowth within your gut, mold, toxicity, not enough digestive enzymes. So there were a number of things that can cause that. So bowel movement is really important, making sure that she is weeing no more than 17 times a day. If it's more than that, actually, I think it's less. I think it's 12 to 17 is above 12 is too many times. So just weeing just in case isn't good. And remember my mum doing that years and years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, in a Jamaican accent. Let me just go to
Yeah.
yeah. No, actually weakens the pelvic floor. So we don't want to wee just in case. We want to wee when we need to wee.
Yeah. But there's that. But what if I'm out for over an hour and then I might need the loo when I'm out? So I'll just go before so that I can go for an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, when you drink water, you should be able to go an hour and a half without needing a bathroom. You should be able to go that long. And overnight, you should be able to go, you know, finish drinking 2 hours before bed, because you should be able to go all the way through the night without being. And yes, obviously it's what your trending is what you do often is the thing to pay attention. But if it's now and again and you're going to the bathroom just in case, then that's fine. But if you're
Yeah.
doing that regularly, then that's something else. Um, so, you know, making sure that you're hydrated. Just because you're drinking water doesn't mean that you're hydrated.
Yes.
Yeah, making sure that you are sweating or doing some lymphatic drainage. So either it is um, dry brushing your skin, or whether it is exposure to cold, hot water. I really like to add that at the end of the shower. So 1 minute cool, a minute warmer, and then do that 3 times as well. Or if you're really like to do cold water exposure fully, it isn't for me. No, my ancestors didn't do it. So I'm not doing it. Not unless I'm in the Caribbean. So yeah, so you know, lymphatic drainage, moving, some rebounding, that kind of thing is really important as well for health. You know, you know, what you inhale as well has an impact on your body and causes you know, a rise in cortisol, you know, like those perfumes, and you know, perfumes are toxic. Those air fresheners are toxic. Those candles, scented candles are toxic as well. You know, so over time, If you're doing it a lot, then that can cause stress for your body too.
But these do sound like all the joyful things. Do you get what I mean? It does sound like, um, yeah. But I mean, you can get non-toxic candles and things as well. Or do you have to switch to incense, or is that even not that good?
Yeah, I would go to oils with a diffuser. Yeah, natural oils, in a diffuser. That, I mean, that just has a really lovely aroma in the house. And some of them are really therapeutic, like peppermint. There's some great research around peppermint, not peppermint, sorry, lavender, around sleep. If you've got mold in your home or you suspect mold in your home and you've got mold spores in the house, you can use certain oils to, like bergamot and I think peppermint, to use that to diffuse the room and get rid of mold spores in the room. So yeah, essential oils in, some water in a diffuser is a much way to freshen up your house and have it smelling nice, because there's a therapeutic element to it. Yeah, but yeah, it is modern things that we class as being nice. It's modern. Our mothers wasn't exposed to these chemicals, and that's the difference between us and them. And to particularly like longevity. My mum passed away at 96 in 2020, in the January of that year.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. And, in our community in Nottingham, many people dying in their 40s and 50s, not even reaching 60s. So there's
yeah,
something different about us. And so those things that we class as being joyful and nice, that's a marketing company that's telling you that you need this thing in order for you to feel a certain way.
yeah. Okay. Are there any racial differences? Even though we're all women, are there differences biologically with us
With the
that make our
menopause,
experience different? Yeah,
with the menopause particularly, or just
yeah,
weight loss.
yeah.
So
And weight gain, sorry. Yeah, and weight gain.
okay,
Because we tend to carry weight or fat, usually around our hips and thighs and bum.
so
But
yeah, so carry on.
yeah, yeah. Are there differences? It's just a question that just popped into my head.
So in terms of our body shapes are very different to Caucasian women. And obviously, if you're from the Caribbean, then you're a mix of different
Yeah,
parts of Africa,
yeah,
so we are kind of unique, really. Um, but what we do know about black-skinned women, and white-skinned women, I like to use the word melanin rather than black, and I like to use Caucasian rather than white,
yeah,
is that melanin-rich women have more of a type of fiber in the body that it's called fast twitch fibers, and Caucasian women have more slow twitch fibers. And I imagine a chicken. Which bit of chicken do you like best? Do you like the breast, or
breast.
oh, really, you're a breast woman? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm a leg. Okay, so that brown meat on the leg has got more fast twitch. So it's shapely, and the chicken obviously can run very fast, but it's more shapely. So people, women that look like you, and men should say, that look like you and I, we have more fast twitch, so we're more shapely. Does that make sense?
yeah,
We're more curvaceous, like the chicken leg.
yeah.
Whereas Caucasian women have more slow twitch fibers, and chicken breast compared to the leg is flatter.
Yeah,
So the 100-meter sprint lineup is what,
it's primarily melanin women. Yeah,
and men, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And that's
yeah,
because we have more fast twitch fibers in our bodies. So that's the difference in itself. When we get to menopause, we lose fast twitch fibers. Everybody does.
Yes.
But we start, obviously, we've got more anyway to begin with.
Yeah.
So body shape can change, everything gets flatter, breast gets flatter, bum gets flatter, muscles get flatter. But we have more anyway than they'd have. So that's one difference as well. When it goes to then maintaining muscle mass, it's easier for us to maintain muscle mass because we've got more dynamic muscle fibers anyway, as opposed to Caucasian women. So actually, with that genetically going on for our bodies, we should actually have better health outcomes, but we don't. So there's something that's different, isn't there, about our environment that we live in, why we are then predisposed to cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes. In the UK, more prevalent of Alzheimer's and dementia as well. And then obviously there's cancers. So there is a study in America called the Swan Report. So the study of women across the nation, but it wasn't across the nation because it was just in America. And they did Hispanic and African American women and Caucasian women. And in that study, it was over 20 years old, but people are still talking about it today. But in my opinion, there's so many variables that wasn't considered in the study, which means that we can't use it as a unified, like all Black women, this happens to all Black women.
Mm.
In the study, they found that African American women, over 20 years ago, were likely to reach menopause 2 years earlier than their white counterparts. So at 49.9, I think it was, whereas the average age is 52. So 2 years earlier, and they're likely to have, in the last 2 years of their perimenopausal journey, they're likely to have fewer ovulations episodes in that time as well. And they also reported to have more severe symptoms of hot flushes and night sweats. And I think that was it. Oh, and cardiovascular disease. They didn't report to have problems with their libido. So this is that study. So people are now saying, oh, Black women in the UK have reached menopause earlier and they have worse menopause journey. This is the story we've been fed based on a really old study that was done in America. And what we have to remember, particularly in America, their food chain isn't the same as ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sorry if any American
Yeah.
listeners are in this, but it is
Yeah.
shocking compared to
Yeah.
here. And also the women, the cohort of all the participants in the study were in a really low economical part of the UK, the Caucasians and the African Americans and the Hispanic. But obviously, if you are African American and you're poor, you are really poor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
They didn't take into any genetic components, any other hormonal conditions that people may have, endometriosis, which means your body's already inflamed. They didn't take into consideration whether you have eczema, asthma, hay fever, which means that your immune system is already kind of a bit heightened anyway. So that wasn't taken into consideration. And they didn't also take into the consideration of, I'll be, relax my hair and, things like that also cause inflammation in the body. So that study, in my opinion, cannot be a direct view of African American women or even women in the UK of melanin inheritance. Yeah. But the British Menopause Society have it in their documents that Black women enter menopause earlier and have worse menopausal symptoms. I mean, I've even asked when I've been delivering training to organizations, oh, don't Black women have this worse experience? Well, no, there's no evidence of that. There was another study, there's one other study, which is really interesting. And what it says is that Black African American women, say it's done in America, and obviously their genetic and heritage ancestors' story is different to those that come from the Caribbean. Very different.
Yeah.
But the study said that African American women have more estrogen compared to white American women. However, they have more estrogen, which is interesting. Having too much estrogen in relation to progesterone is actually inflammatory. And it can change the estrogen. It's called aromatase. It can change the estrogen. So it can change the testosterone. It can convert this inflammation, can change the testosterone and make it more and change it into estrogen. So there's more estrogen. And that is cancer causing. So hence why cancer could be more aggressive for Black African Americans. Obviously, it's just done in Americans. But I think that is due to what's happened through those people ancestrally to obviously the slave trade and what happened to those, particularly those people that lived in America for decades and decades and decades. So in terms of studies, we don't really know anything really, because they're all based on American women, and pretty much of them are out of date anyway.
Gosh, I am so conscious of the time. And I have so many questions. So we might have to do a part 2. And I may even have to do this as a 2-parter. I don't know. So to try and gather my thoughts and to try and sort of close this down, I do have a couple of other questions, I think. The first thing that came to mind was, if we've got all this history of contraceptive pill for years, antibiotics, other medication, bad food, etc., I'm assuming from the conversation that we've had that we can turn that around.
Yeah, we can turn all that around. And as we were talking about, racism, and we have to include that into the story when it comes to melanin women as well, in terms of the racism that we experience on a day-to-day basis in our society, and we have done since we left our mothers, safety of our mother's home, went to the school system. So we have to include that, don't we, when we're talking about sort of weight gain, particularly trauma.
Ancestral trauma.
Yeah, ancestral trauma, but also trauma that we've experienced as well.
Yeah.
We have to add that to the story when we get to perimenopause. I'm not saying it's all of it, but we have to add it to it. And so supporting the nervous system, having robust stress management tools, calming the nervous system down from other things that we've talked about, will really help with that as well, so that she can lose weight. Because as we know, women that look you and I are the greater risk of all of these diseases, and it starts in perimenopause. And funny enough, most people say, I'm 57 and in perimenopause still. I haven't reached menopause yet. And people go, oh my gosh, you look so young for your age. Yeah, I do. My mum was like that too, and my sisters. But what I do say back to you is that whilst I do look young, but what you look like on the outside isn't always a reflection of what's going on the inside. And so we have to look at and support your metabolic age. Your chronological age to your biological age is very, very different. And that is longevity, that is health, that is wealth, that is everything.
Okay. So you're talking about your mission, and your mission in life is to do what?
To educate,
Yeah.
empower women, and disrupt the narrative about women's health.
Excellent. And how do people work with you? How do they, I mean, you say you're a women's health coach, so you do that through your coaching?
Yes, so I work with women from a coaching integrated package. So nutrition, diagnostic testing, medical grade supplements, coaching. I also do psychotherapy techniques as well, and NLP techniques as well, to look at you as a whole person. So I work with women one-to-one, and also in small groups as well. And I deliver training in organisations. I'm an advisor to British Standard Institute on their newest groundbreaking document, menstrual health, and menopause in the workplace as well.
Excellent, excellent. And have you got any programs running at the moment, like group programs? Because I'm sure I saw you mention something recently, but I didn't get a chance to go back to, which was around belly fat. And
Yeah. So starting in March, end of March, starting a 12-week program for anybody who is struggling specifically to lose body fat in that perimenopause to post-menopause transition. And it is a group, but it is a small group. And it is just wonderful, just being amongst a small group of women. We also have some one-on-one time with me as well outside of the group, so I can really personalize what it is that I'm offering to you, because you are unique, and that's where, the magic happens, when we know what's going on for you.
excellent, excellent. So we will put in the show notes all your links, and if that course is still open, or that program is still open for people to sign up to, then it might be good to put that in the show notes as well, because there might be some people who just want to do a 12-week program just to get themselves going. And if it works out in that 12 weeks that they actually do lose the belly fat and they don't need to do any more, but they might actually find that they start a health journey and it puts them on the road to what's more important, which is the health. So good. So we will put that in the show notes. Any final words before we close? Anything? I know we've covered so much, but is there any message that you wanted to give that you haven't had an opportunity to?
Oh, wow. I think what I'd want to say is, to anybody that's listening, would be to just be kind to yourself. We often say it, put your oxygen mask on first, and it is so true. But take it slowly, because it might feel a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
Asking for help or surrendering to yourself. So just do one thing and just get comfortable with that one thing. And then that one thing will grow. Before you know it, you've changed your world.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Pamela. Don't go away, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this conversation. Please like, share, and subscribe, because I feel this is a really, really important topic for all women out there, even if you're only in your 20s. Although some of it, I know when I was in my 20s, I thought I knew everything. And so therefore, I probably would have just yeah, whatever. And it comes back to haunt you a bit later on. But at least you'll remember this when you're going into perimenopause, and then you'll seek out the help that you need. But yes, thank you. Don't go away. Thanks, everybody. And we will say our goodbyes off camera. Okay, take care. Thank you.